What's up, y'all? What's up? Welcome to the Pugilistic Linguistics Show. I am your host, Michael Foster, the voice of reason in an increasingly unreasonable world. And I am back. Before I get started, like I say all the time, like, share, subscribe to the podcast, word of mouth, get it out to the masses. Just tell people about it, man. It don't cost you nothing. Clicking the like button and the share button doesn't cost you anything. But it helps me a lot. I mean, it would help you listen to it too. Now, do that too. But get this out to the masses. Get this in the algorithm. It will help a whole lot. I appreciate it. So today I saw a video talking about Jackson Dart. And if you don't know who he is the starting quarterback for the New York Giants. This is the second year in the league coming up. Last year, he gave him some hope. The Giants didn't have much hope, so Jackson gave him a little hope. Second year player, like I said, going into his second year out of Ole Miss, the University of Mississippi. And recently, either it was over the weekend or within the past week or so, he went to a Donald Trump rally. And he introduced Trump. Big Blue Nation, I'm happy to be here. It's a privilege, it's an honor to introduce the 47th and 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump. Something along those lines. That's kind of like it was his opening spiel. Trump comes out, does what he does. Now, before I even get into what this is all about, let me say, look, you have the right to support anybody that you want to. I'm not suggesting that right be removed. I'm not suggesting that it should be suppressed. You have the right to support whoever you want, regardless of who it is. And the people will deal with you accordingly. So I'm not suggesting anybody should take his right away. Just understand that there are repercussions to it. Now, Jackson Dart plays in a league that I think is like 75, 80% non-white. I'll say it that way. So the fact that he has the right to do it is one thing. But he has to understand how this goes over in the locker room. It is from a strictly locker room football team perspective, this was an absolute horrible decision. It is a potential locker room killer. Already. Season ain't even started yet. Now, the reason being is because the people in that locker room that are non-white are going to look at him differently. I said in the previous episode, like it or not, people are going to make assumptions about who you are based on the company you keep, based on who you choose to spend your time around, based on who you support. Because on some level, if you support somebody, you agree with them on some level. You're not going to support somebody that you have zero in common with. That makes no, well, let me kind of temper that a little bit, because there are a whole lot of folk that voted against their interests for Trump, but that's neither here nor there. On some level, they agree with him if you're willing to spend your time with him. I also talked about in the previous episode about social currency. If you are a person in the public eye, like it or not, you have social currency. You got to be careful with who you spend it with or who you spend it on. Like Caitlyn and Morgan Wallen. Well, Jackson Dart, you're spending your social capital, your social currency, on a man that's generally reviled. And generally reviled by probably the majority of your locker room. See, that's the thing. If you were just a low-level third-string punter, probably wouldn't matter. Harrison Butker for the Kansas City Chiefs is one of those MAGA heads. He's a punter. In the grand scheme of things. But Jackson Dart, you are franchise quarterback. The leader of men. And the thing is, you can support who you support, but you also have to understand how your support goes over for the men that you're leading. Some of your teammates and other black players across the league have already chimed in like, bruh, what are you doing? Now, I don't know if this is, bro, what are you doing by revealing that support, or, bro, what are you doing for having that support? But the bottom line is, bro, what are you doing? For everything that Trump has done in his professional career to impact and to harm and to discriminate against people of color, you go all dude bro and support that man that has nothing in common with you on the surface. From the Queens housing stuff in the 70s to the Central Park 5 in the 90s, Trump has shown time and again that colored folk ain't his flavor. Hanging out with Puffy and all them in the 90s notwithstanding. Bro, what are you doing? And I can't help to think, as Cam Jordan of the New Orleans Saints said about Dart and Trump, that sounds mighty Ole Miss of you. Now, I'm not going to say that going to Ole Miss helped shape his opinions. I don't even know if Ole Miss even mattered in his opinions. He probably just got paid well. But I can't help but think, I should say, that given what Ole Miss is, given what the University of Mississippi is, I mean, hell, their team name is still the Rebels. If you look at some of their older logos, It incorporates the Confederate flag. So I can't help but to think that Ole Miss, the University of Mississippi, has something to do with it. He was right at home in Oxford. But you got to be cognizant of how you of how you move in public, how that reflects on people that you have to turn around and lead now. I would not be surprised if more than one person in that locker room gives him the side eye when he walks in. Now, from 9 to 5, they're going to follow him because he's the quarterback and he, whatever. I mean, it's still their job to win games. If you're a receiver, it's your job to catch the ball. You're not going to drop the ball on purpose because your quarterback could be a racist. No. You're not going to not block for him as an offensive lineman because your quarterback follows a bigot. No, it's still your job. But it's entirely possible that opposing defensive linemen try to take your head off because you support that man. That's possible. I'd be naive not to think so. But I got this feeling that this Oxford, Mississippi experience has something to do with it. If not creating it, definitely reinforcing a feeling. Lane Kiffin, who I think is the snake of college football, where no moss grows under his feet anywhere he goes, and he can't be trusted as far as you can throw him, did say about Oxford when he left, essentially like that ain't the bastion of racial tolerance. It ain't the place that you want to be if you're looking for racial harmony and justice and all that. Now, I've been to Oxford a few times. It's not that far from where I currently live. And he might be right. I mean, it is still 2026, but that is still in the heart of Mississippi. So take that for what it is. So I kind of believe Lane Kiffin when he says, hey, Ole Miss, it ain't all it's cracked up to be. It's small-minded. It's if it is an outright racist, they aren't interested in not being that way. They may not be outright racist, but they don't mind the label. I think that's the best way to say it. So I don't know if Mississippi shaped Jackson Dart's opinions or if they reinforced his opinions, but either way, you're in New York now. New York, probably the most liberal blue city in this country that has a specific distaste for Donald Trump. They even had a distaste for him before he became president. And you play in that city, and you have the nerve to introduce that man in New York. Yeah, this rally was in New York. Again, you have the right to support whoever you want, but you got to understand there are consequences to everything. There will be consequences to this. Now, I don't know how extensive. I don't know how big they're going to be. But there's going to be some kind of consequence. Somebody's not going to take kindly to it. And that person you're going to have to lead. Abdul Carter, who is, I think it was first round pick last year or maybe the year before. But he's already come out tweeting and said, bro, what are you doing? Abdul Carter is a Muslim. And you know how Trump feels about Muslims. I mean, if you just think about it. If I'm a black man on that squad, I think Jackson Dart's a racist. And I'm less likely to go all in for that dude. And as crazy as that sounds, as far as your job is concerned, that's just human nature. It takes a superhuman effort to ignore. So I don't know. Like I said, I personally think he's just another one of those dude bros, young white guy, who think it's cool to rub shoulders with Trump. His starting running back, Cam Scatterboo, which is I've always thought that was an interesting name, but anyway. He's another one of those dude bros who probably speaks before he thinks. He feels kind of the same way based on some of the things that he said. I'm not absolving them. I'm not saying they might not be racist. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they just like the rest of these dude bros, these podcast bros, these Nick Fuenteses of the world who just say anything without thinking about it first and think it's cool to be around Trump. But now you got to deal with the real world and the repercussions of your actions. Or he could be a card-carrying, virulent racist. That's possible too. I'm willing to accept any extreme. And that's the issue. Any of that could be true. From one side to the other. And that's where we are in 2026 society. And what kills me about it is this whole racism, Trumpism shit. I used to have some people in my life, and they are now card-carrying Trumpers. They're scared of everything. See, first of all, white people are so easily scared. You all are just easily frightened. All you got to do is just say, "Oh, big bad black man," or the brown man is coming, we're taking our jobs. And look, that brown man ain't coming over here, and he ain't no neuroscientist. He ain't no neurosurgeon. He's no astrophysicist. He ain't taking those jobs. And quite frankly, you wasn't having those jobs either. They're taking the jobs that nobody wants. First of all, let's just cut the bullshit. White person that's afraid of everybody, you wasn't painting houses. You wasn't doing landscaping. You weren't roofing. You ain't picking lettuce. But you scared of the brown man because he's taking your jobs. The only job that most of you all have is walk up to the mailbox every month to get your welfare check. Let's just keep it a buck. You had a 400-year head start with this shit, and you mad at us because you can't get ahead. Your issue ain't with us. The issues are you, a shitty white person. In a country where every single benefit is to your advantage. Every single. If you can't get ahead, how the hell is that my fault? How is me getting SNAP benefits causing your downfall? You a shitty white person in this society if you can't get ahead. You may not like the way it sounds, but truth is truth. But back to what I was saying. I had some people in my life, used to have some people in my life, that are card-carrying Trumpers now. And they scared of everybody. They scared of brown people. They're particularly afraid of Muslims, which for the life of me, I don't understand. And obviously by extension, they don't like black people either. But what kills me is this. In their lives, of what I know, the person that fucked them over the most was a white man. You mad at black folk or brown folk or Muslims or Buddhists or whatever. And the one that fucked you over the most in your life was another white man. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. But that's the thing. It's not rooted, it's not grounded in common sense. I mean, 9/11 notwithstanding, you have a better chance of being assaulted in public by a white Christian male than any Muslim. And that's counting 9/11. How many times has a white Christian male walked into a school and shot it up? Walked into a movie theater and shot it up. Walked into an abortion clinic and shot it up. How many times? Everybody does crime. It's not specific to one group. But again, you got a better chance of being assaulted and or killed by a white Christian male than any Muslim. I saw a video, and now I'm going into a rabbit hole. I saw a video where a white mother was talking to her child. The child had to be, I don't know, 2. They were in the back seat in the car seat. So 2 years old, maybe 3 years old. I don't know. And the mother said to the child, "What do you do when you're lost?" And the child said, "Go find a big black man." Let me say that again. Mama asked, "What do you do when you're lost?" She said, "Go find a big black man." Little girl. Say, "I'm lost and I need to go home." Now, this is obviously something that the mother had instilled in this child. When lost, go find a black man. You're safer with him than finding a random white person, random white male. Now, why is that? I'll tell you why.